Rich, how are you? Are you there?
Hey, Jamie.
Hey, thanks for joining.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
I wasn't sure if I had the right digits for you, so I guess I did.
Yeah, no, I got your invite.
I think I had the wrong. I have a text message for you, but I think it's wrong. I mean, I have a cell phone, but I don't know if it's the right cell phone number. So we'll coordinate on details after the call. We should have Sean Green and Brett Peck is joining us in just a second as well.
Cool.
Sure these guys got it.
Hey y'all, how we doing?
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Hey, Sean.
Hey, not bad. How you been?
I'm doing
Long
well.
time no see.
Yeah, great seeing both you guys last week at the Leaders Conference.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm hoping Brett Peckus is going to also join us. Thanks for doing us, everybody, on such short notice. This is great, but while it's still fresh in our minds, we might be able to provide some valuable feedback to
Yeah, no, I agree.
AOG. Yeah. There's Brett. All right.
So, so Jamie is still walking on air as the proud papa.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Give me 1 second here to hit record. Um, Brett, can you hear us okay?
Yes, Jamie, you got me?
All right, we got everybody. We got everybody. Thanks everybody. There may be some people that join us via chat on YouTube. I didn't promote this very heavily because I wanted to kind of pressure test this a little bit, and this is kind of an after action review of the Leaders Conference. But of course, also, and I think it should be noted, we got some really bad news as a class yesterday that we lost a dear
Yeah,
classmate, a literal and figurative giant in our class. Um, Brett, you're very close to him, and I am too. Um, Brent Bourne, can't believe it that he's gone, and I'm going to do my best to do what I've done my whole life, which is to kind of compartmentalize my grief and kind of put that off to the side and have a good conversation with you guys about our class and about the leader conference. But I don't in any way want to think that I'm somehow ignoring that because, he's a dear friend, he's a company mate, he was my design partner. We're at each other's weddings. We all loved him so much in the company F1, and I know he intersected with prepsters and with the football team. He went to high school with Johnny Cook. And so this is so sad for us. So I want to just acknowledge that up front. I don't know if anybody has
Jamie, if
anything
I
else
could throw
there.
just one more on that.
Yeah,
That family's kind of banged up. They lost their daughter, Allison, a year ago, and now they a daughter and a sister, and now, a dad and a husband. So
hmm
I do think it'd be amazing if we all kept them in our prayers, right?
for sure.
Judy and Elizabeth. Judy and Elizabeth. Keep them in our
Yeah.
prayers.
And there obviously will be a lot more coming in the next
Coming,
couple
of course.
days about the details of any kind of ceremony or recognition. So, Born Dog, we love you. Rest in peace. Well done. Be thou at peace. So put that off to the side. Um, Gentlemen, thank you all for joining us. This is a special edition of the Old Grad Podcast. The four of us were all together last week at the Association of Graduates Leadership Conference, and it was an opportunity for us to connect as a class, but I thought as well it was an opportunity for us to maybe come back together after the event, kind of do our own after action review, kind of compare notes of what we heard, and where possible, where applicable, to pass this on to our classmates, the 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 applicable information that was put out by Association of Graduates. So I'll start it off by saying this event happens every year. It's put on for a combination of different communities. So you've got West Point Parents Society, you got the societies themselves, like the regional societies. You have the MALO, the Military Academy Liaison, and the admissions crew, and then you got the class leadership. And it just so happens that each of us represents one of those sectors. And so there were some breakout sessions that happened that were unique to our respective communities, which we could probably debrief with each other on that. And we could also talk about the conference itself. So before we do that, let's just real quickly introduce who's on the call, what company, give the kind of current sit rep. Brett, let me start with you, Brett Peckus, and just give us where you are, your relationship to West Point, the capacity under which you attended the conference, and any kind of other general updates.
Sure. So I'm sitting at Haciendas. I did get a margarita.
Nice.
To make that work. I was here out at AOG for as the North Texas president, so society president, which is kind of fun. A guy who grows up in Chicago, all of a sudden is leading the Texas society. We've got, been married.
Where you in Texas, Brett? What? You in Dallas?
Dallas, yeah, Dallas Fort Worth. Dallas Fort Worth is North Texas.
Yeah, okay. I have an office in Fort Worth. Actually heading there tomorrow, but okay, good to know.
Well, good. I'll get there tomorrow night and grab a beer.
All right.
That'd be great, Sean. So married, 4 kiddos. My oldest is class of 26. He just graduated. He's snowbirding down at Fort Benning, figuring out what that looks like. He's roommates with Luke Melton, another 91 classmate, Brian Melton. It's just wild how small the world is. And then I've got 2 that are Arkansas, my twins, right, which is fun to watch a very structured atmosphere versus unstructured as a parent. And then my youngest is Sammy. My daughter's a sophomore. She's on the lacrosse team here at Army. So she's a yearling and just smiling every day because she's not a plebe.
That's right.
Right?
Not a plebe. Sean, how about you next?
Sure. Sean Green, I was back in the day, I was A2 Spartans. Married, got 8 kids. Funny thing, I couldn't brainwash a single one of them to go to the academy. I guess Amy and I raised them to be free thinkers, and just never went that way. Basically, I think 4 of them went to Brigham Young University, 3 of them to Utah Valley, and like I said, Adam's our youngest, has Down syndrome and autism, so he won't be going to college. He's kind of our eternal baby. Great kid, love him. Been in, I got out the 5-year mark because it just wasn't work for the family, unfortunately, because I loved it. The profession was a lot of fun, really enjoyed it, but went to B school to figure out what to do when I grew up. It took me a few more years after that, but ended up in health insurance, which is chaos, which is probably why I like it, because that's kind of what in the infantry, it was like chaos as well. So we just kind of carried that tradition.
Love
And
it.
how about grandkids? You got any grandkids?
Believe it or not, 0. My
Zero.
oldest at 33 says they're going to start. So I'm like, well, hurry it up, kid. I'm getting old here.
Okay, nice.
Which is funny because, I was like 3rd oldest in the class, and y'all used to call me grandpa, but now, I can call you guys grandpa.
So how old? Wait, how old were you? When you graduated? How old were you?
I was 25, turning 26. So I was the oldest in our class was Tony Davidson, July 2nd or something, and then it was Aldinger. I think he was somewhere between there, and I was July 11th. So we were the oldest 3 in the class.
I know Dave Baxter's there too. He's Grandpa Dave Baxter. He's pretty old too. He turned 22 in July.
Well, yeah, Jerome. Jerome looked like he was the oldest because he just looked like it. But actually, Davidson, Aldinger, and I were the oldest by age.
Were you a prepster?
No, I
Okay.
went to college. I did college for a year. Did a Mormon mission, came back and applied.
So you did things a little differently than a lot of kids do. Like Nate Nate Van Duzer, he started with class of 89 and then he
Yep.
finished with us. And then Brian Gibby
Yep.
started with us and finished with class of 93. At that
Yep.
time, you had to resign as a cadet and then come back. And I think now it's well understood that they're coming back. And I imagine,
Yeah.
Sean, you at their leaders conference, you represented what, Utah
Yeah. I'm
as
the
a
state coordinator for Utah.
state coordinator, as in like for admissions?
Yes. So Field Force falls under the admissions office like the Malos.
Okay, so you and Rich are going to be speaking a lot from the Malo perspective, the field force and the
Yep.
emissions perspective. But is it true now that when you come in from Utah and you're devout Mormon and you intend to do a mission, you come fully knowing that you don't need to resign at the end of your sophomore year, right? You like it's a known thing that you can
Well,
like
it's
hold.
they are actually technically they still resign, but the way they slot them, if they're an ex-cadet, unless they did one, I've only seen one guy not get back in, and there was an honor issue
Mm,
tied up in that one. They want you back. So, I just had a kid that I got him in a couple of years ago. He left after his first year, went to Korea, and he just came back from Korea into the yearling class. So he'd be your daughter's classmate now.
hmm Brett's daughter's classmate, right?
Oh, Brett's. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, yours is firsty.
Well, speaking of daughters, West Point is 31% women now. 31%. This incoming class, 31%.
Wow. I thought
Yeah.
I heard 25, but that's amazing.
I think it's 25 across the core, but this
Ah,
incoming
okay.
class, 31%.
Interesting. So
I
almost a
wonder,
third.
I wonder the extent to which the 50 years of women and the Athena conference, I wonder if that boosted things for this year in terms of applicants and whatnot. But maybe it did. I don't know. But 31% is unprecedented how high it is. That's pretty impressive. And Rich, how about you? So where are you joining us from? And tell us about the capacity through which you attended the conference.
You bet. Thanks, Jamie. I'm in Ashburn, Virginia. I've got 4 kids, and my youngest, I guess, shares a birthday with Sean. It sounds like July
All
11th.
right.
Yeah, pretty cool. Um, yeah, so I was up there for the Field Force Conference, also as a state coordinator for Virginia. Um, Still wearing the uniform though, and as a Malo, it was kind of neat. I bumped into somebody else from I2 who was class of 90, and sort of like most people do when they see me and I'm in uniform, they step back, they get shocked, and they're like, "How are you still in uniform?" Um, and so I had a 17-year break in service, and then I learned about the Malo program, and it took me about a year to get back in. Um, and I ended up going through the National Guard. Actually, I could come back as a captain in the New York National Guard, and a packet to come in as a warrant officer in the Army Reserve. And they were both racing their way through the system, um, trying to beat a timeline for an age waiver. And National Guard won. And so, yeah, that's it. It's been a fun ride.
Wow. So when did you get out of the Army? Like when did you leave active duty?
1998.
Okay, so you had
And so,
7 years active, and then
yeah,
you okay.
yeah, 7 years and 3 months, right? And the 3 months is significant because it gave me 90 days in my anniversary year, which to most people means nothing, but those who are familiar with the reserves, know that that's important, and it made that 8th year count as a good year.
That's a good year, yeah.
Yeah, and so I didn't know all that when I was trying to get back in, and I actually had a little bit more runway than I thought I did because I had 8 years under my belt. I was bouncing up against where I could make 20 good years before I was 60. Um, and yeah, it was exciting.
Wow. Wow. Well, good on you. Well, I mean, so they won't let you in unless you have enough time to get 20 years before you're age 60? Is that the way that works?
Yeah. Whatever the age cutoff was at that point, they
Mm,
adjusted if your prior service based on
mm.
how many years you have, and so that'll raise it a little bit. And then the caveat for getting an age waiver is that you can get 20 good years by the time you reach your MRD, whether that be time in service or age. And with the 17 years for me, bounces up against age.
Yeah.
Although I'm hoping to be able to extend to 62, right when that time comes. We've got another Malo who was there with us at the conference who was able to do that. Um, so we'll see.
Right. And just to clarify, MALO stands for Military Academy Liaison Officer. So just
Correct. Yeah, we're part of the field force. The field force is the overarching umbrella, and then within that, you've got the Malos, and we have we'll have active duty Malos. We have reservists who are TPU, the regular 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, and they have a reserve unit. We also have IRR Malos. So they're just working for the admissions office as little or as much as they want. And then I'm an IMA Malo. So instead of having a reserve unit, I have an active duty unit as my unit. And that active duty unit is West Point admissions.
I too was an IMA Malo for a little while, but I was IMA to the Army Material Command, and then I got mobilized for a year. And so I got back in for another year after 9/11. So I did a year. But you got to do SLE, right? So you were one of the advisors for SLE. Can you tell us about what SLE is?
Yeah, so Summer Leaders Experience is for rising seniors. So junior slide application window opened up in February of their junior year. And it occurs in the summer between junior and senior year. And it's a 1 week opportunity at West Point where you get to, you live in the barracks and you experience the physical side of West Point, the academic side, and the military side. 2 years ago, it was traditionally a full 7 days, and we would run 2 iterations. But Colonel Post, the deputy director of admissions, found that it was such a huge impact on candidates completing their file that he was able to tweak it down, had us tweak it down to 5 days and get in a third iteration. So instead of having 1,100 candidates, we have 1,600. It definitely made it a little more intense, but the candidates got their 7 days worth of stuff crammed into 5. And, that's got to be the most fun. I go up there every year, and from the middle of May, so grad week, for the next month at West Point, 3 out of those 4 weeks I'm living in Bradley Barracks, eating in the mess hall, and basically running around as an 05 cadet.
That's awesome.
But it's a blast. I met Catherine, who was your daughter's roommate and best friend, which is kind of cool. It's the world is just really small. And
did Catherine do all 3 of them, or is it
yes.
all 3 of them? Okay, I got you.
Yeah, she's the commander. It's a great experience. But a lot of the cadets will do SLE because it's one of the shorter details, and the first week of it is during grad week, and we also get a lot of core squad people. Everyone that has done it though has come back afterwards, in their first year at the end, and they're like, hey, this was actually the best thing that I did. I learned a lot because they do get paired up with Malos at a really low ratio, and they get a lot of mentorship over the course of the 4 weeks. I do the S4 stuff on the detail, and just basically spending every waking hour with the cadet S4. It's a blast.
What civilian job do you have that you're able to take off that kind of time?
Yeah, I retired about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, good for you. So this is your main. You have the flexibility to do something like this. That's great.
Yeah. I had a civilian job as a government contractor, and I was doing the TPU in the National Guard, and I was still doing the admissions work as well. And I was driving home from drill one weekend, and I thought, I'm really busy. Something's got to give. And driving back from New York, it was a long drive, and I just started working things out in my head. And I said, what I really like the most is the Army stuff. So I'm just going to do the Army stuff and drop my civilian gig. And I hit up my boss that Monday and told him I wanted to retire. And he's like, hey, slow your roll. I think you can do a 6-month sabbatical and then, see if you really want to do it. So I did that. And I had told him I would come back afterwards. So I came back after that for like 9 months and said, yeah, no, my trial run was really too much fun. And um, then I ended up, the National Guard stuff and the IMA, or at that point, it was just, I wasn't an IMA. I was National Guard and just doing the Malo stuff for admissions. That both, started to be a lot as well. And so
Wow.
I thought, well, I really just like the admissions the most. The National Guard stuff is a lot of fun. I'm a cyber officer, and you do some cool stuff, get a lot of good training, but I really enjoy working with the candidates and the cadets. And so I transferred from the National Guard into the Army Reserve.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. So let's get to reviewing the conference. And so the conference takes place every year. It's usually the second or third week of August. It's right before the beginning of the academic year. It basically it starts upon the new cadets march back from Lake Frederick on Sunday into Monday. And then Tuesday there's a golf outing, and then Wednesday the conference starts. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of reorgy week. So while we're there doing our leadership conference, the cadets are back. It's the first week following the end of the summer, so reorgy week. We all remember that. It's a great time for a lot of the upperclassmen, a lot of the upper class cadets. It's a tough time for the plebes. So the first thing we had was an overview, an introduction by the chairman of the board, Bob McDonald. So, any thoughts or impressions on his? He gave kind of an overview of the academy, overview of the board of directors, and anything jump out to you guys about Bob's overview, Bob's talk to us?
Speech, but I would say it's one technicality. Again, one of the things I do on the side, I run a industry group for the insurance marketing professionals. And so 501c3 can actually lobby and do advocacy work. It just can't be a part of a campaign. Remember, he kept saying, we're a 501c3. We have to be apolitical. Actually, you don't. You just can't be active in a campaign. But it was a great speech otherwise.
Right, because he was anticipating a lot of pushback, which he did get
You got
about
that one guy.
the Thayer Award, and
Yeah.
there's kind of like a little bit of a splinter group that's sort of like the anti-AOG called the MacArthur Society, and they're always like,
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't pick up on that. So
Oh
is there a
yeah.
little background on that? Because I don't know anything about that.
yeah. So this, there is this kind of splinter anti-AOG group. I wouldn't say anti-AOG. They have their own very strong opinions about anti-DEI, about the curriculum becoming too woke, about a bunch of the kind of, left-leaning uh, kind of tendencies that seem to be happening, and they wanted to really reel this kind of stuff back. So they made their way into the Board of Visitors. They're very vocal where they can be, kind of pushing back, and I think that the approach has been to embrace them and say all perspectives are welcome as long as it's about what you feel is good for the academy, and let's try to have a rational conversation. So I think Bob was highly sensitized to that, with such negativity towards the Thayer Award that happened. And
Yeah.
so
Oh, that was weird. I mean, I didn't really know the full thing. I said they pulled it for Hanks, which was kind of stupid, I thought. But
well, this is the beauty of the Grad Podcast, because we can kind of talk out of school about all this kind of stuff, and folks can, like, we do not officially represent West Point or any part of it, right? So we're just given.
Yep.
But yeah, so if you look, Tom Hanks done tremendous things for this country, very supportive of soldiers, sailors, Marines,
Yep.
everybody, but very opinionated too. And he used the platform that he has developed for articulating some of his own views, which were not necessarily aligned with that of the current administration. And so when it came up that he was being awarded the Thayer Award, Department of War said, AOG, you can award whoever you want. You're a 501c3, you can do whatever you want, but you are not going to use academy resources and have a parade and bring all these cadets around to we do not support that, and became very tense. And AOG, I think,
Interesting.
yeah, AOG said, okay, wait a minute. We do support the academy. The last thing we need to do is get at cross purposes with the academy or
Yep.
put people's careers on the line. Like if Steve Gillen said, we're going to have a parade, and that's General Steve Gillen, the superintendent. If he just said, we're going to have a parade, he probably would have been fired the next day. Right. So AOG said, rather than put ourselves in this sort of awkward situation, yes, we're going to recognize Tom Hanks as the winner of the Thayer Award, but we're not going to present it yet. We're going to hold off. And they also said we're pausing the award for the time being. So there's no more Thayer. There's no Thayer Award in 2026.
Huh. Okay. That was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you look back at some of the Thayer awardees in the past, they're all political leaders of one sort of another. Not all, but many of them are. Yeah.
Both parties.
Both parties. It's like if you worked hard for the betterment of our country and whatever color jersey you're wearing, we want to recognize that. And somehow it just got a little too animated, and the feeling was we don't need to. Let's just press pause on this until we can better study it.
Okay. Well, thanks for the context, because I was kind of sitting there going, what the hell?
Well, I mean, I do know 501(c)(3)s, they can't spend more than X percent. Like, can't be, it's not defined, but it can't spend more than.
The general rule, I think, is 20. Yes, there is like a
Right.
rule of thumb. Because, I mean, like I said, I've run a couple of them, and we did a lot of lobbying and advocacy.
Right. Yeah, well, and you could do lobby and advocacy in form of quote unquote education and not be as heavy-handed. Or you can create a 501(c)(4), which is actually does allow for political taking sides on one side of an issue or another. But what his message was, and I've seen it in the past too, is West Point and the Association of Graduates must remain above the fray. Like we like the Army, the military, everybody in uniform is apolitical. We do not have a position. And AOG is following that model as well, because we support the Long Gray Line, we support the Academy, and by extension, we're not red, we're not white, we're not red or blue or purple. We are nothing. We are, there's no color there.
Yep.
And so I appreciate his perspective. It was tough though. He definitely navigated it well. The other part of it too was he gave an update on how we're doing relative to our peers, other academies, and we have no peers. The other academies are peerless to us. So like we are more than double the reserves and the impact of Navy and Air Force, right? It's not even close. And very clearly, spoke about the mission. The mission is to support the Long Gray Line, all his graduates. It's kind of 50, I think, So money to raise, we got programs to support career enhancement for our graduates. There's the VVSL program, the volunteer veteran liaisons, grads helping grads. Basically a bunch of initiatives to support our graduates, the entrepreneurship program, which Mark then talked about. Mark Beeger, our classmate, got on next to talk about as the CEO. Any other thoughts about Bob? I know that I'm talking a lot here, but I appreciate other people's perspectives on Bob McDonald.
So, it was my third year coming, Jamie, and it just seems like AOG is really evolving. It's getting better every year. It's getting organized. I mean, even at the golf outing, we had two folks from Highland Falls at the golf outing. Just that idea of creating symmetry between the post and the community is a big win. And then I think also, and I took some photos. I don't know if you want to see slides, like the comparison between assets from 2015 to 26.
Oh, if you have it, yeah. Can you
let me show that. Hold on.
Can you share your screen?
You bet.
Okay, yeah, very good.
So 375 to almost $1 billion in assets here in 2026. So we're going to finish the year up. Now, that's not under endowment. That's just total assets.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the comparison. Look at the numbers. I thought it was pretty impressive. And even the stats from the assets have increased 158%, endowment 188, fifth in participation, although I don't understand how that's being measured. Do you know how participation is being measured?
Yes, the number of donors divided by the number of graduates.
Okay, got it.
Yes, number 5 in the nation. I wonder what that percentage is.
And that's private schools, number 1 in public schools.
Yeah.
Right? Which means, to your point, we're smoking all 4 academies and any other state universities. So really, it's funny. It's really got to be 4 other private schools. So I know Princeton's up there, Harvard's up there. I don't know what the other 2 are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be in a podcast in addition to the YouTube. So just maybe to read back some of those stats because people won't see the slide. Just go back 1 second. This is great, guys, the slides. So total assets, 375 million in 2015, 966 million in 2026. So almost $1 billion. Number of employees rose from 98 in 2015 to 129. We've got grants to USMA. I guess this is aggregate. We've now given 725 million to West Point. Our alumni participation rate only 35%. That is pitiful. Oh my God, it's only
what? Please explain. How do you think that's measured?
It's the number of graduates who've given money divided by the number of graduates. So like if you have like 100 graduates, only 35 of them have given money. Like our class, by the way, our class, happy to say, we are the highest giving class in the history of West Point. We've given more on a percentage basis than any other class. Yeah. We are only at 67%, little like almost 68.
So is that getting published? Because I think it should get published by class and also by society.
It has been published by class. Because I saw an email went back and forth. It was like, how did 91 do so? We did really well for our 30-year campaign in terms of participation rate. So yeah. So anyway, well, so let's move to that next slide. Okay, so 83,000 total graduates, 57,000 are living, 50,496.
Wait, what does that mean? Total versus living?
Well, a lot of people have died. The class of 1802, there's nobody around from that one.
Oh, you're saying since ever?
Yeah.
83,000 ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's wild.
83 living USMA classes. So what's 2026 minus 83? That's the oldest living grad.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Now, Jamie, a big point came up for me this meeting that I didn't realize, that Kennedy, when he was in office, West Point was only 2,000 cadets, and Navy and Air Force were both 4,000. And it was Kennedy that was the one that said, wait a minute, why isn't West Point doubled? And if you look on the outside of the mess hall, it was 64. It was when the mess hall doubled in size.
Yeah. It went from 3 wings to 6 wings. You could see it like
Yeah. So the poop deck was actually the front of the original entrance. I thought that was wild.
Yeah. 6,578 women graduates.
Look at the Rhodes Scholars.
109.
What are we like 3 or 4 on that list?
Yeah. Which, by the way, I mean, West Point does such a good job with that scholars program. It clearly is the case because we put so much behind that for these cadets. I mean, Mike Eastman talked about it in his podcast with us as well because he was in charge of it. They have like 3 special classes. They have all like if you are like a candidate for one of these scholarships, they put so much behind you into that process. It's stupid. It's crazy. And it does filter out. It does create second and third order impacts for the rest of the core. 129 societies. Very cool. All right. Anything else? You got more slides there, Brett?
The other ones are not very good.
All
I mean,
right.
I guess I do have one. Wait, I want to say, I think I got one of Brent Bourne.
Yeah, I see it right there, right in the middle. Is that football, the football team?
This is, do you guys remember, gosh, what in the heck was her name? Miss Tindy?
Oh yeah, Sue.
Sue Tindy. She got the whole
Smoked our
football
ass.
team. She smoked us hard.
Oh yeah, as a water polo
Nobody,
team sleep here.
nobody
She
could
killed
keep
me.
up with her.
Yeah.
This is after a workout with her.
Everybody's
Pretty,
got their shirt off, and is that her in the front there?
that's her right there in the
I'm
pink.
a, I'm a, I venture to say, I guarantee you, she's got this picture hanging up somewhere.
Well, she smoked all of us, Jamie. Like I said, I was with the water polo team, and we do Tuesdays and Thursdays in the last hour, and it was brutal.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I think that I took an aerobics class with her or something one time.
Wow.
Yeah, you know that she's got a. If you're there doing that stuff to the cats, you got to be loving life. That must have been awesome.
Now, I will say also, I thought this was pretty cool,
Yeah.
right? Around AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
So, yep. France
we can
Hong.
promote France a little. But scan that, you get his Boodle box for 6 months for free, which is basically a compilation of every AI tool out there. Plus, you're saying the word Boodle box, so why wouldn't you test this?
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed.
Yeah. So that's skipping forward in the agenda a little bit. We'll give him a
Sorry
little
about
bit of
that.
time here. No, it's fine. So we did have a presentation by France Hong, who is an entrepreneur, and he's got an AI company, and the focus was how to use AI to support the efforts of the academy writ large. So how will Parents Club use AI, societies, how will admissions group work with it? And Boodlebox is basically an amalgamation of all the different AI tools, and you can ask like one prompt and you get like 6 different responses like simultaneously. You can see like Gemini, ChatGPT, Llama, Claude all happen at the same time. So I use Boodlebox in one of my businesses, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And so he's definitely doing great things. All right, so let's move on, and let's talk about Mark Beeger. So Mark then got on and talked about the mission of AOG. Mark Beeger, our classmate, who is the president and CEO, which is so cool to have somebody in that role, so from our class. Um, my impression, Mark and Bob McDonald, and also Steve Gilland. The 3 of them, they just they are who I want to be when I grow up. They exude such competency and humility as leaders. I was just like blown away by Mark. He is so good with how he and it's clear, it's evident with everyone else who's on the staff that he just I'm sure he inspires them to excellence is how I would see it. So, any perspectives or thoughts or comments from his talk?
I think he nailed it. He's just got a direction for AOG it's moving the org forward. And Jamie, I guess my perspective is 3 years ago to today. And so from the meeting 3 years ago to this one, just the focus on strategy, understanding vision and mission for AOG versus the academy. What is the mission? What are they getting after and the outcomes? It's just people are just rallying to go get it done. So I think you're right. He's inspiring people to be purposeful and get it done.
Yeah. I mean, the outcome that they're seeking is to be the most connected alumni body in the world. So that like to have the opportunity for us to not just connect as classes, but across classes, from the military side to civilian side, for us to just all be one unified effort towards enhancing the effectiveness of the academy and doing good things for our country.
Well, one thing I would throw in, I saw him. He came out here for Founders Day, and he and I chatted a bit and realized that we probably share the favorite boss ever. He served Bob Caslin as his chief of staff. Bob was I'll call him first battalion commander because my first one actually got relieved, and he came in and really saved my lieutenanthood. But the things I see Mark doing looks a lot like Robert Caslin. He was very methodical, never really pushy, very humble, but very deliberate and just sticking to the mission and getting things done. And I see a lot of boss habits and stuff in what Mark's doing.
Yeah, I think another influential senior leader is General Bob Brown too for them. He was a
Oh yeah,
he was a
he was my MS instructor as a plebe.
yeah. Well, he was a DMI. I'd say he's a DMI instructor, and then he was
Yeah.
also, I think he factored at other critical points in Mark's military career,
Okay.
and you see that kind of like just extreme competence and humility, and just being an everyday kind of person for people. It's inspiring to see because not everybody, there are some chest beaters that kind of do get promoted in life, but he's not one of them, right? He got that role because of who he is.
Yeah.
Rich, any thoughts from you about Mark or about Bob McDonald?
Yeah, no, I get nothing.
Yeah. We should mention Guy Swan too, General, I think Lieutenant General Guy Swan. He was like the MC. He was like he is, I think so West Point is set up. You've got the 17 member board of directors, and then there are a bunch of these committees. And Guy Swan he heads up a committee, which I think is alumni engagement, and that's why he was the master of ceremonies for that.
I think he owns that meeting.
Yeah, I think so. However, I think he's probably cycling out of that role at some point because I think they're very, um, they have like set terms on all this stuff. So we've seen him for the last 3 years, but I think we're going to see somebody new in a couple of years. We should also mention Deb Edelin, class of 1992. I'm trying to remember her maiden name. She was an A1. You guys remember who that was? Class of 92. I forget her maiden name. She's gonna get on me for this. Um, she orchestrated this whole meeting was her thing. And so she's the one that like very interested in this feedback. I'm pretty sure she's gonna be listening to this podcast or at least reading the AI notes from it. So feedback for her was, well done, excellent job on this conference. What did you guys think about the location the first day at the Windrose? This is the first time that they did that at a conference center as opposed to doing it at West Point.
It's funny. It's kind of weird, I thought, but I guess this is my management geek coming out because I did the MBA thing when I got out. That's actually the old Croton Learning Center from General Electric, which is legendary, and I've read a lot about in books and articles. So for me, it was kind of geeking out of, wow, this is the Croton Learning Center. But it wasn't a bad facility, but I know it's always good just to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
So what I liked about it is it promoted a lot more social engagement. There was a lot more one-offs. And it was definitely the facilities were phenomenal for a conference like that. But then even afterwards, where there's a restaurant and a bar, they had cigars. People were meeting informally, promoting the informal connections. It seemed a lot easier to get done there than back at school, and it's just tougher to do at the Herbert Center, right?
Well, I think it was built for that, quite literally. I mean, that's what Jack Welch's vision was of bringing his people in, and it sounds like it definitely did that.
Yeah, I like when the day was over, you're still together because there are people that were staying at the conference center, and
Correct.
so you still had that, like as opposed to West Point where they some go back to the Thayer, some stay on post, some stay off post. So you lose that post conference, those collisions and those conversations that take place.
And
Um,
I didn't stay there, Jamie. I was staying with Holly and Mark, but I mean,
yeah,
still, I thought it was. I would prefer to do that again, maybe even both days.
yeah. I
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it both days because you got the Academy leadership brief on that Friday, and you can't
That's
have
true.
those
That's
guys
true.
trumping all the
No,
way out there.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So I think the one day makes sense. AOG's got a special deal with them because that place is a white elephant, right? I mean, GE sold it off. I think they sold it for like less than $20 million, that whole site. Like the land alone is worth double
Yeah, they
that,
just
right?
just liquidated. Interesting.
Yeah, it just costs so much money to maintain. You think about all the landscaping and upkeep and everything, and now you got this private equity firm that owns it. They're trying to like do whatever they can to make money. They have like zero business on the weekends. So they're really just, basically 4 or 5 days a week that there are revenue generators for them. So if they have something on the weekend, it's great. I looked at it for our potentially to host our reunion
Oh,
because we would
100%.
yeah, but here's the thing. Think about it. I don't think so. And first of all, it's too small. The number of rooms, there's not enough. The rooms were, Sean and Rich, you guys stayed in those rooms?
I
The
did. We were with there.
Never get there.
Oh, the rooms are really, really Spartan, right? They're basically just a bed. I mean, not that we've all slept outside without anything, but I'm just saying the rooms are not very nice at all. So, bringing spouses and everything for a reunion. And the collaboration spaces are awesome, but we're not there we're not at that space. We get hauled off to West Point. We're there all day. We're on buses.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you
fair.
don't you don't get to really. So I thought to myself, and it's also pretty spread out. Like getting from some of those rooms all the way to the front to hop on a bus, it's like a 10-minute walk. And so after talking it over with the class leadership, we said no to the Windrose. I think it works well for the older classes that maybe have less attendees, like a 50 or 60-year reunion date, but not good for us. So we're
What is the capacity for rooms?
150 rooms.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, yeah,
That doesn't work.
yeah. Um, So then we got so Mark did his update. Then we got the Academy update from Angela Oakley, who gave us the overview of giving and what their objectives are and the Margin of Excellence program. I thought she's great. She recently was put into that job. Kristen Sorensen, I think, is one who left that job before, and I thought she did phenomenally well as well. She's like a great spokesperson for the impact of the Academy, the impact of giving. You guys have any notes or reactions or anything from that?
She was there just a few minutes. Right? She didn't talk very long, and I think after that was when they busted Rich and myself out to the breakout.
Right. Yeah, that's right. You guys actually got pulled out. You guys weren't even supposed to be in that part of it. I think
Yeah, I
that's
think
what it was.
yeah, they came as they were starting, and then we went over to the Lyceum room, I think it was, Rich, and we
Right.
did like
Right.
a cycle review of, we started with 13,000 apps and just kind of walk through the admission cycle.
Yeah, so let me hear that from you guys. So we're hearing about Academy um, Academy fundraising initiatives. We heard about the new Mikey Stadium project. We heard about the SEAC and the Thayer and all that kind of stuff. But then while that was going on, you all were hearing about the about admission. So love to hear what you remember from that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'll make it easy. I mean, go ahead, Rich. I'll talk, and I'll
Oh
just
no, yeah.
stick.
Hey, if
You
you
sit
got that, that's
that.
perfect. Yep.
Let me take a picture and tag it and send it to y'all. So hold
Okay.
on a sec, or maybe I'll just put it in the chat. You guys can download it. Let me.
Yeah, Colonel Post was running through a lot of numbers and things that stuck out in my mind. We had somewhere around 2,300 fully qualified applicants. So they're academically qualified, they're medically qualified, and they have a nomination. and that was the highest number in like 25 years. And so this year we're trying to bust 2,500.
It's impressive. How do they sort that out? Because I know you got high demand areas like Texas and maybe low demand areas like Maine.
Yeah. We reviewed what they call an opportunity district, and so an opportunity district is any congressional district that has fewer than 4 cadets at West Point. And
So it's by representative districts.
say again?
Yeah, because every representative and senator has 5 slots, and so if there's
Right.
less than 4, then that's the definition.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
Is that
5
public?
that count against them, right? Because each year they can nominate up to 15 for every vacancy that they have. So that's how you'll end up with a congressional representative that may have 30 people at the academy, but only one counts against, only 5 count against them, and so it's 1 each year unless they have a couple vacancies that they're going to nominate against. We talked about the session after that was a best practices one, and New Jersey 5 sort of sets the example for everybody, and they put in 45 candidates last year just out of that one district.
Isn't that where Jamie lives?
It might be, yeah. Vince Camisa?
It's northern New Jersey. It's Steve Gallish.
Okay.
Yeah,
Vince is Bergen County.
Yeah.
It's either Jamie or Brian Fitzgerald. One of you guys.
Yeah, I'm just below that, but Vince Camisa, he's the statewide coordinator. New Jersey is insanely good at bringing cadets to West Point. I mean, they are really good at it. But they have these cadet candidates actually going and doing training together. Like they're working out at a gym together, and they brought in a few Navy and a few other cadets candidates too. But it's really amazing.
This kind of gives you the funnel, and I'm going to email this to you, Jamie. You can send it out to the rest of us. And they just kind of, again, they went through the steps of that. They talked through the admissions process in somewhat detail, more than I've ever heard. I don't know, Rich, if you'd heard more, but that was very enlightening to me.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with all their stuff. And I know Colonel Post and Colonel Lee are running a session on Wednesday night, and they may have material at that point that's fit for dissemination. The slides that Colonel Post was showing, it was really for local consumption. He asked folks not to take pictures of the slides that he was displaying because there were some things that were still sort of work products, but he's very transparent.
So you mentioned 2,500 fully qualified cadets, of which only about 1,100 get ultimately admitted, right?
1,250.
Yeah, I think they went 1,265 this year. Yeah, and this year they had 20. It was around 2,300 fully qualified.
And when you say fully qualified, that's after there's been this larger pool that has been attrited down to the fully qualified. Because the large pool is like what, 12,000 or so that apply?
13.
Yeah, it fluctuates, but like Sean said, usually around 13,000.
13, but the dirty secret is 13,000 start to apply.
Yeah, so if you apply for SLE, that starts your West Point application.
Right.
That's the
There are
top of the
candidates
funnel.
that apply to SLE that have no intention of going to West Point. They just
Right.
want to put on their resume for whatever school they want to go to that they were selected for this, and they went and they attended and did great things.
And yet 40% of the incoming class have attended SLE.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like it's a high number. 40%. 40%. So yeah.
Yeah, and SLE really drives file completion. So there, again, off the top of my head, I don't know what the percentage is, but those who go to SLE jump in and complete their application at a much higher rate.
That makes sense.
And we've had candidates complete their application before they finish SLE, which is just amazing. And I know next year, one of Colonel Post's goals is to make an offer to a candidate before they
At
leave.
SLE.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I don't know if my daughter would have gone to West Point, but for SLE. I mean, she was interested. I was almost talking her into going to SLE.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know about like I said, you should definitely go. She had some other things going on, and she came back and a changed person. She finished her application, she got it in, she
Yeah.
got accepted. So it
That's
definitely made a
really
what
huge
it's
difference.
designed for, right? It's gonna
Yeah.
help you make up your mind. If you go to SLE, at the end of SLE, you're either all in or all out.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, she was all in, and she's all in now as a firstie. So it's
Yeah, and she's
pretty
smoking it
amazing
too.
transformation. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we had our breakout sessions, and then let me see here. I'm looking at the agenda so I can see what else we did here. So then we broke out. So we broke out the classes. So then I was in a class. So Brett, here's where you and I were. We broke out to different spots. I was in a class meeting with all the class leaders, and in there we broke that up further into best practices around reunions, reunion planning, best practices for getting more people there. We also talked about grads helping grads, how to help our classmates. We talked about there was a section on governance, class governance. Really interesting best practices around supporting folks around communication. A lot of conversation, a lot of debate about Sallyport versus the Lyra server. The Lyra server, which you guys see, because Scott just sent out an email about Brent Bourne's passing yesterday on the Lyra server. That has historically been our go-to way to get out to classmates. That server is being sunset on December 1st this year because it is old school. There's a lot of vulnerabilities to it. We don't have the ability to actually know how many of these emails are actually getting out to people. Sallyport is going to become the single point of communication from AOG to the graduates. So, basically you got to get your Sallyport profile updated with your email in order for you to continue to hear from
Well,
class.
and what's funny too, Jamie, about that is when I was first told about Sallyport, I was told it was an old grad that built this for us and deal with it. Well, what's
No,
funny about it, it's not. It's the exact same platform that's used by Princeton, Harvard, all the top
Notre
engagement,
Dame, Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame. I mean, it's really the state of the art out there.
It's state of the art, but it leaves a lot to be desired because there's really not a simple.
It's got some wonkiness. I'm with you,
There's
but
not
I
a
will
simple
say
way
this,
to.
but the AOG staff is there to support and augment.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, it's on the society part, with all the communications we do and Founders Day, whatever, and other events, they're always available to help
Hmm.
us improve and get this stuff out there. It's not
Right.
very intuitive. I'm with you.
Well,
Um,
if a classmate happens to be listening to this podcast, they should go to Sallyport, make sure that their information is up to date, their email, their phone numbers at the very
100%.
least. Yeah, we are going to embrace it more as a class, as a communications tool. It's going to become our only communications tool in a few more months. And aside from WhatsApp, by the way, is still better than everything, right? And we did talk about that as a alumni body. But it's like, what can we do that is just in somebody's hand with their cell phone to be able to connect to them? WhatsApp is by far the best thing, and it's encrypted and enabled. So we have WhatsApp working well. We're going to continue to expand upon that and make that even better
Good.
as a class. Yeah.
No, good. Please don't abandon it.
No, no, WhatsApp. We're sticking with WhatsApp for sure.
So then, Jamie, I went on the society side, and that was really about what are best practices with societies.
Hmm.
And so we just walked through Founders Day and various. Are they formal, informal? What are all the other events you're doing? And just sharing best practices. Same kind of thing,
And
right?
what are some of those best practices? Because just
So I know
engaging with
one of the
parents.
things we're doing that. So we decided to elevate Founders Day and make it a highbrow event, but also have really chill events. We do shotguns. We do a skeet shoot. You want to show up in t-shirts and shorts? Cool. We do a lot of social events like that.
Hmm.
Um, we had 4 years ago, our Founders Day had gotten really low, and turnout was crappy because it was just at crappy venues and all. It was just too relaxed. But when we raised the standard, everybody showed up. So that seems to be working for us in North Texas, DFW, and then also doing other events, from a skeet shoot. Some folks do golf outings. So those are kind of, and then I will say the other key piece was creating a leadership that, okay, you got folks that are volunteering like me and others, but a guy from the class of 82 doesn't know who I am. So let's have a class leader. So we created a class leader program. So we have a representative from every class in DFW. They take the monthly updates and summaries and get it out to their class, right? And so that's been incredibly effective to increase communication and engagement, because you're going to open an email from a classmate before you are from some old or younger guy that you know who it is.
Yeah.
So that's been very active.
And you could have like watch parties. That's a big part of the. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
We probably get, and it's interesting. There's actually a checklist of best practices to be a distinguished society. And Texas, to the credit, I've only been here a couple of years, but we've been a distinguished society for 31 years.
So as our classmates think, many of us are in transitional modes. Kids are out of the house. We're dialing back work a little bit, or transitioning into other types of roles that are more advisory or whatnot, and looking for things to do. I was talking actually to Chris Willis. Chris Willis is recently retired. He retired from the Army, retired from federal government, now doing consulting work and doing some other things, thinking about what's next for him. What could he do? Getting more active, more involved with societies, parents clubs. This is an extension of West Point, and it's not just selfishly it connects you to your alma mater, which makes you maybe feel good, but it also is a contribution to the nation, to the Army, because it enhances the brand of West Point and the number of people that may be interested in it. So, it's all for the good. It is a form of public service. It may have a kind of a selfish little
100%.
tint to it, but it's fine.
Yeah, Jamie, throw Field Force in that mix too, right? They can join the Field Force. One of the stats that Colonel Post put out there was applicants are also much more likely to complete their application if they have a local representative that they can work with. We have people, in Virginia, for instance, we'll reach out across the state, but if I'm reaching 300 miles, it's a lot different than if there's somebody who's 5 minutes away from your house.
Yep. Yeah, I think the best practices on our side, Jamie, it kind of varies because every state's a little different. I mean, Jersey 5, that's right up there in Bergen County on the border, they're in a very unique situation. Utah, I think we got a great population and a well-run state, but we're not in their backyard, so we've got other challenges that we've got to work through. And probably the one, Rich, that I took away that most important, and I'm going to try to implement here in Utah, is the Eisenhower Leadership Award. They give that out in New Jersey and New York high schools, and it's just done a world of good for them for just general knowledge of West Point. So that's probably the biggest thing I'm going to take on this next year or so is I got about 400 high schools in the state and trying to beef up the field force so we can go after that.
So what is that, Sean? How does that actually work?
So, it's an award. It goes to the top high school junior that fits a criteria. You can, I'm still researching a lot of it, but I found a page on the New Jersey, New York Parents Club page. Basically, the high school principal gets to pick that person. But there's a lot of it'd be an incentive for it because it's an award that a junior can put on their college applications that they're starting that particular summer. And to me, I'm just looking at my angle is how do I get into high school and get influence? And this would be huge. And
do they get money or anything? They just get just a certificate.
Yeah, like a certificate. I mean, I'd love to see us up that. Maybe find a sponsor that would be willing to, make a plaque out of or something. But just having that on resumes, it's amazing what kids will do for that. I mean, Rich says you got kids going to SLE for that, and
Crazy.
Here in Utah, we have a thing called the Sterling Scholarship that a lot of high school kids don't get any money, but they get recognized as their high school's Sterling Scholar, and they will actually go through the West Point program just to get the nomination because it looks good on that application.
It's crazy. These awards, people are, they eat them up. And I'm reminded of. So I sit on the board for the Washington Campground Association. It's a revolutionary campground in my hometown, Bound Brook, it was like a little outpost of like Valley Forge during the winter of 1774, I think, and so like I remember
Eight.
as a kid, I would find musket balls there. I mean, it's literally there is like it is a how it is hallowed ground, and every year for the 4th of July, we would read the 4th of July on like basically to the community. And the community was getting smaller and smaller and smaller, the number of people that were attending it. And what we did was we began awarding local sixth graders for being good citizens. And so
Yeah.
by recognizing the sixth grader, you bring out the parents, you bring out the grandparents, you bring out the friends, and now everyone wants to do it. Now there's like hundreds
Yep.
of people again, and it's all because of that sixth grade award.
Yeah.
Like that is a
Gives
funny
us
way to get.
it gives us an entree into those high schools. Remember Mill Art and Napoleon? It was amazing what a man would do for a slip of ribbon. I think it's amazing what kids will do for a slip of paper. So that's my premise that I'm going to pursue.
It's amazing what you can do too when you don't seek the credit. That's
Yeah, there
another.
you
Somebody else said that.
go.
All right, so let's move on here because I want to make sure that we're respectful of time because we're only halfway through the first day. So then we had lunch. There was a lunch speaker from BSNL, Decisive Point Leadership, Colonel Andrew Farina, kind of giving us his own perspective on leadership and just curious if there was applicability that you all felt from that talk. He talked about authenticity and trust. Those are the two, like those two things had to align in order for somebody to be a good leader. You needed to be
So, Jamie,
authentic.
I was blown away with his testimony on a classmate or a fellow grad that lied to him big time during his career. And
Yeah.
I was really puzzled by that. And it was interesting as I've been talking to other grads, like, have you ever had that happen to you? And what'd you do about it? So I thought that was a really interesting case study. And then the other part was the model that he built out and showing all the
Yeah.
different leadership models that got to this point of, competency and trust. So I was impressed. I thought it was really thoughtful. And it seems like our
That's
school doesn't just talk about leadership. They're really getting scientific, not just the arts, but the science of leadership. And that came out in that talk.
Yeah. No, it's a great framework. I mean, the mode of competence. Let's see, what was there's two others, evidence and was it objective? My picture's blurry, but it was a great framework that definitely stuck with me.
Hmm. It was kind of cool to get like a little like PL 300 refresher a little bit on about
Right.
what they study.
But
Yeah,
one from someone who'd actually seen the elephant, because let's be honest, our BSNL instructors were not of that same caliber.
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
this
funny.
guy.
He popped a memory bubble when he was talking about the PL 300 and he brought up problems and he specifically said like 80s or 90s, if you did PL 300, what was the solution for everything? And it was company barbecue. I was like, oh, that's
That's
right.
right. It's so true.
Yeah,
That's
there it
so
is. Yeah, trust. That's it. Trust
It
evidence.
is,
Yep.
right?
yeah. Yep, there's the model. Very simple model.
And you can't become, I love that line at the bottom, right? On authenticity.
Yep.
You cannot become someone in 30 seconds that you have not been through your life. Yeah. Um, oh, you know what? I gotta plug in my computer. Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. I just realized I'm not plugged in, but I'm okay for right now. I hate for this thing to disconnect. All right, so that was our afternoon session, and then we had further engagement, further conversations broken up by different sectors, the class leadership and the Malos and the societies. I mean, the one thing that I heard a little bit of criticism was that it would be nice to hear what was going on in those other meetings. You know, like when you're part of the class meeting, I didn't hear what was going on with Malo. Malo didn't, I mean, Malo maybe doesn't care about classes, but classes do care about the Malo, and societies may care about classes. So it'd be good to have maybe some summary of what was discussed outside of those meetings for the other attendees. So
Yeah, we had one of our attendees. Actually, it was one of the AOG attendees who was very interested in the Milo stuff, but didn't get to attend any of that because he was
mhm,
doing the AOG stuff. And he thought it
mhm.
would be nice to have, a full day where we were together for some of the briefs that everybody cares about, and then go off and do our separate things. It might also be useful to have a half day or something at the end where we come together and do get to give some of those back
Yeah,
briefs, right? So rather than the sausage being made, just get to see it at the end, like, hey, here's a summary of what we hit.
right. I think we were all together in that leadership um like building when they were doing that.
Right.
So we took breaks at different times. It might make sense too to have people break all at the same time because then you get that cross-pollination. Although there's not enough room for everybody to be breaking, but
Yeah.
um reminds me, by the way, the food at that place was off the charts, right? I mean, it was crazy that those
Good.
break. I think it was tough to be watching what you're eating at that place because there's everywhere you look, there's another like little like pastry or something that's exotic looking. Um, all right, so then we had dinner, and I feel like one of the highlights of the weekend was listening to General Betros, the former Department of History chair, talk about the oral history project. To me, that was like
It was awesome.
Hmm.
incredible. Incredible. So like his baby, he was one of the initiators of the oral history project. It was spawned out of the Department of History. I think it's its own little enclave now, the Department of Oral History or the Oral History Project, mostly sponsored by AOG. And it is to try to capture the voices of West Point graduates talking mostly about their military service, but anybody could do it for anything. There's a lot of civilians that also speak. But what really jumped out at me is they got on his 99th year, the retired lieutenant general who was a staff officer for MacArthur in Korea, talking about the complexity of the landings of Incheon. And you had this guy, 99 years old, remembering some of the dynamics of the planning that was going on because there's a lot of naysayers. There's such a short window to be able to land at Incheon, and it was a risky operation. And he was able to give some of the behind the scenes look of what that was like. Do you guys recall that conversation?
Oh, unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Like, first of all, the testament, the operation, the risk that was involved, but then just capturing the the lessons. And I thought it got back to that same thing, Jamie, of it's not just an art, it's a science on this history. And, remember he made that one claim on history doesn't repeat itself. Like, we can learn lessons.
hmm
Uh, but that's where I thought it was really powerful. He just started
yeah,
sharing, like, how do you take this and learn from it so you can be a much more effective officer going forward?
yeah, yeah. He had the old school original poster that I recall, which says at West Point, much of the history we teach was made by the
Yeah.
people we taught, and
Correct.
that had General Lee, right, like
Correct.
front and
Grant,
center.
yep.
Grant and Lee, like Grant on top, Lee underneath, and then they had MacArthur and they
Patton
had
and
Eisenhower.
Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so you don't see Lee portrayed anymore in those kind of posts. That's one kind of change that has happened, I think. And we're not we recognize maybe he had military expertise, but he's not heralded as a as a leader or somebody for whom we should be modeling history after. But it was interesting. So Betros, there was two little vignettes we watched. One was the guy, the MacArthur staff officer. Then the other one was a Vietnam. Uh, he was a battery commander forced to make a decision on a fire mission that was called in from
Unbelievable story.
one friendly unit on top of another friendly unit. And he didn't have time to reconcile the fire mission and had to make a decision about whether he was going to whether he was
No,
going
no,
to
Jamie, to be clear, they didn't know if it was a friendly on a friendly. It was a restricted fire area, and a friendly was calling it in and asking for fires, but he didn't know if it was friendly fighting friendly. So is he
right.
about to take out friendlies?
Right.
Hmm.
Right. He thought maybe these two units were actually engaging each other, friendly on friendly. That's right.
Correct.
That's right. But here's what's amazing about what he was describing is that they were now taking this testimony, this oral history, and plugging it into the electronic text that our cadets are now learning from. What used to be those books that we would flip and they would be, I'm getting chills talking about this, where they would show the movement of, you flip from page to page about showing the movement of one unit to the other and all of our mill art books. These are now animated and you could click over on the right hand side and hear a grad talking about that particular battle or the inside, what was happening in their unit at that moment. That to me just blew my mind. Like nowhere in the world can you have that kind of overlay of the academy experience with the profession of arms like we have. It was just blown.
Jamie, I just want to affirm you on that one, because here's what blew me away was, history's nice, but sometimes I feel like it's a waste of time. You're telling me some history lesson, but the context was you can learn from this for your future decision making. And that was so critical. We now have a history department, and that's the purpose of the history, is to make really much better decisions going forward. Learn from the stuff in the back. So you're really, really making good decisions going forward. And I thought that was phenomenal. Right?
Yeah. You know what I tell cadets when I talk to them? Do not blow off mill art. If there is a class to pay attention to, or two classes, mill art and PL 300, those are the two ones I say do not blow off those classes. And they're both kind of easy blow offable classes. Like you can kind of like check the boxes and get through them, but those are the ones to really, really pay attention to. Unfortunately, my daughter has mill art second semester of her first year, and that's a tough time to have it.
For sure.
Sean, I just saw you got a visitor. Why don't you have him say hello? You're on mute. One of Sean's children just jumped.
There we go. Yeah, he just ran in, said hello, and ran away.
All right,
that was
awesome.
Adam. That's the youngest.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Good parenting.
Yeah.
All right. So that was kind of the end of the day on the first day. Any other thoughts or about the first day? That was all at the Windrose. All right.
So for us, we did an opportunity dinner, which was supposed to afford us the opportunity to connect with the cadets or people that we've worked with that are at the academy. Unfortunately, I didn't get that memo until like the day before. But I mean, Rich, did you get to do anything on that opportunity dinner of note?
Oh, we went out into Highland Falls, and I think we ended up running into the women's soccer team on the way to ice cream.
All right.
Yeah, one of the cadets on the team had been at SLE, and we sort of introduced them. We like to think we did anyway.
So wait, did you guys miss the dinner with General Betros?
Yeah,
we weren't there. We did not. Sounds like I'd love to have been there, but unfortunately,
oh my God,
yeah.
That's a note for the AAR. If you're gonna have someone like that, that guy was awesome. He was awesome.
I mean, if you could get him for the reunion coming up, if we've got a block to fill, that would be amazing. Because I think a lot of folks would much rather hear about that than that we're rebuilding the water plant or something.
Or maybe like for a society thing or like a Founders Day, he'd be pretty good for that
or
too.
Get him on one of your podcasts, Jamie. I mean, that'd be.
Oh, speaking of which, so I've got some upcoming podcasts, but I'm delighted to tell you that General Steve Gilland has agreed to go on the Old Grad Podcast.
Let's go.
He insists on going on after October 1st because that's his last day in the Army. He wants to be out of the Army to be able to.
He can say what he wants.
Yeah. So,
gotta love that.
I'm looking forward to seeing. And Brett, did you go to his change of command today?
I did.
How was that?
I did. You know what? It was really, really. It was awesome. It was wild to watch the promotion ceremony. Forgive me, I don't remember the 4-star that came up that ran the event. I want to say he's RG6. He was phenomenal. For a guy that graduated from Arizona to just affirm what's going on at West Point was pretty cool. I mean, it really was. It was really, really well done. And our next soup, it's another badass. We got another good soup coming in, good leader, coming from 25th ID. 20 between he and his wife, 21 West Point grads in their families.
Jeez.
Right. So think about that. Just in terms of the impact and the gravity, they know what they're getting into. It was really impressive. So and Steve Gillen, Steve and Betsy, I think has just been unbelievable. They were just Betsy received a couple of awards that were really totally appropriate. Steve as well. So they're on their way to Texas. They're moving to Dallas, and then our new superintendent and his wife, family. Again, having a daughter there, it's a little different when you're a dad. And Jamie, you get this, but it's one thing to be an old grad and care about who the soup is. It's another one when you got a kid there, and your appreciation and interest is a little higher because you got a son or daughter there. And I can just affirm we got the right people there. We got a great soup, great being, great calm. Yeah. I was really impressed.
So this is a great segue to talk about the next day. So the next day was at West Point, and it starts off with the academy brief from the academy leadership. So we hear from the soup, we hear from the dean, we hear from the comm, we hear from the director of athletics, right? Those are the four big personalities. And so I think we culminated.
We got this one if you want it.
What is it? Okay, let's see. This is from the dean, right?
Yep.
So did the dean go first? I think the dean went first. Our new dean.
Well, and Jamie, could we just talk about this real quick?
Sure.
Because I wanted to call out that English 302 is no longer at West Point.
Right.
Can we just take a second on that?
And you should have been there to help case those colors of all people, of any classmate, Brett. You, maybe also Kelly Laughlin. You should have been there to case the colors.
And Al Brenner.
And Al Brenner. Yeah.
Al, sweet Al.
Sweet Al Brenner. You could have maybe been there to case those colors and maybe do something to them. Who knows? But
burn it respectfully. Burn it.
Yeah. EN 302. Yep. And you know what's interesting too with AI now? You don't even need to be. It's just fascinating how it's going to change the way that we learn how to read and how we learn how to write for reading. Because AI does it for us. But yep, EN 302 is gone. But General Gist gave the update. There's the picture of Steve Gillen. But what's interesting, I don't know, somebody like Holly West or somebody's got to give us the inside scoop here. For them to pull the master of the sword, he's been there for 11 years. He was the head of DPE, and they made him the dean because they passed over all those department heads of academic departments and made the DPE guy the dean. Now, I mean, obviously, this guy's an accomplished guy. He's a PhD. He's a general. He's a leader. He's all those things. But I guarantee you, there are some disgruntled 06s right now that were heads of the department that wanted to basically compete for the dean role that got passed over. And I would love to. This is maybe where I could get Steve Gillen to give us some.
That's a good question. I love it.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So, because I mean, little known fact, or I didn't know this until very recently, that the DPE does not report to the dean. They are part of USCC. Their boss is the commandant. So DMI and DPE report to the comm, and everybody else reports to the dean. And now this guy is the dean. So,
it is interesting.
Yeah. But clearly, I mean, look, he's 94 grad. He is. You have to be academically oriented. And he did make a joke. He's like, back in the day when I would watch these videos, I would think that there's not enough because they gave us a bunch of those propaganda videos of like guys helocasting out of helicopters and doing air assault and then the academics and like what you see a TV commercial, and he would remark like there's not enough physical fitness highlighted in that video, not enough military, and now he's like there's not enough academic stuff. So it's interesting. He's now leading that department.
Sure.
But I gotta believe that there's some, like when you're walking in to run those department meetings with all the people that you competed against for that dean role, and they're now your direct reports. There's got to be some
Well, I
tension.
promise you, he can do more push-ups than them.
Yeah,
He's fit.
he was great though. But by the way, he was probably the most puckered up of all three.
He was.
He was, because he read from a script. He just gave his big download. Like he's not speaking off the cuff, probably for this exact reason, right? Because he realizes that it's a sensitized thing.
Yeah.
Then the new comm got up, stud, right? And that guy's awesome.
The new comm made me feel like an old grad.
Really? How so?
Just because he looked so young.
He's class of 99, so he's 8 years
99,
older
yeah,
than
but
us.
he didn't. He looked
Like a baby.
really
That's
young.
crazy.
I mean, that's a good thing, right? But I looked at him and I felt really old.
Yeah, even the new
The
soup.
new suit, yeah.
I thought the new soup. I thought he was like a colonel. I thought he was like a department head. I confused him for a department head, and all of a sudden I saw he's the new soup.
And he's like 6'6".
Yeah, big guy. Um, Coming from the 25th, obviously he's super physically fit, and yeah, I mean, in terms of like, if you look at the kind of like the warrior ethos of West Point, it's already been pretty strong, but it's going to continue to be strong. And
Oh,
Brett, maybe I can speak to this, and you can speak to it too. The Corps is incredibly military oriented. I mean, my daughter's academic company did an FTX this past semester. Like they went out as a company and did an FTX. Can you imagine doing that as like company A4 going out there?
or even combatives. Combatives, it's real world fighting instead of just boxing and wrestling.
Yeah.
Boxing and wrestling are sports. Combatives, so the school continues to grow and increment and innovate and deliver what we need to be delivering.
Yeah. My boys are both jujitsu, like they're into jujitsu and Muay Thai and all that kind of stuff. So they're teaching my daughter all this stuff. But there was a video that they showed of Beast, and they have like this sawdust pit, and these kids are like choking each other out. They're like throwing like
For sure.
triangles and
Arm
like,
bars.
yeah, they're like beating the shit out of each other.
Arm bars. We were
Yeah.
never taught an arm bar.
Yeah, I know.
Right out of
Or
the face.
yeah. So, but the other thing too that's fascinating is the Norwegian Foot March. 1,900 cadets, like almost half the Corps
Half
of
the
cadets,
Corps
goes out
showed
and
up.
does a 18
18.
18-mile ruck march with 25 pounds on their back. You got to do it in under 4 hours, and it's got to be below, I think, 30 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I think
It's
the
got to be
motivation
nighttime.
there was they were going to get out of Sammy.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
And
work
you
to
get
get
out,
out of
yeah.
Sammy.
Yeah, if they got a certain number of cadets to do that, they'd get out of Sammy, and everybody was like, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah.
Well, I'm there as a dad, whatever. So I say I'm going to bring hot chocolate for when you guys finish, because they finish at midnight. They go out at 4. They go out at 8 p.m. They finish at midnight, and I said I'm going to meet you there at the finish line at midnight with hot chocolate, and we'll have I'll give you some snacks or whatever. And so I see all these cadets, and there's faculty doing it. Everybody's trying to get this little stupid little badge, and there's this one kid, really impressed me. Second semester, or like, no, he's a firstie. That happens. I think it's first semester. He's a firstie, football player. Um, didn't need to be out there, right? And he was like, I missed this. I missed it last year by like 90 seconds. I just couldn't graduate from here. having known that I had a chance to do it and I didn't try again, and he passed it, right? But a big Hokan football player misses it by 90 seconds the year before and make sure he gets out there and does it again the
Pretty cool.
next year. Crazy.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Sandhurst is off the hook competitive. Everybody, like, you have to try out to get onto the Sandhurst teams. Gone are the days of, like, basically forcing somebody to do Sandhurst. It's a real thing. It's competitive. Brett, you only got 5 minutes left. All right, we got to go. So let's talk some more. So then Steve Gillen gets up, gives just a heartwarming exit speech of his time at West Point, right? Just amazing
Yep.
viewpoint.
Transparent, vulnerable. It was.
Yeah. He gave a perspective of his dog on the front porch, right? What his dog sees on a day. You see the cadets in the morning, they're running, they're doing their PT. Then you're going back and forth, coming back to class. You see people later in the day. You see Sanders coming by. You see Core Squad teams coming back. Like, what the dog sees during the day is just, like, amazing. An amazing testament to what the academy is today, right? So then we had other talks. I guess the main thing I want to talk about here, make sure I highlight, is the VVSL, the Veteran Volunteer Liaison Officer. That was highlighted as, like, one of the new things the AOG stood up is a program to make sure that our graduates are properly getting their access to veteran benefits. So many of us who have been engaged in the fight for the last 30 years, we've got ailments that have happened, right? Like hearing loss, back pain. We've got less visible injuries like PTSD. It's important to be able to get those benefits, right? And they talked about the biggest challenge is overcoming the stigma, like feeling like you're kind of getting over on the system. And the um, what I heard was very important to sort of push past that stigma and also let people know, like, you deserve these benefits, number one. Number two, if you don't apply for these benefits and know, if the Army doesn't get to know that these are areas where soldiers can be getting injured, like, and the example was given, like, we no longer run in combat boots. We no longer run in combat boots because there have been so many knee injuries related to running in combat boots. And those knee injuries were a function of claims that were made to the VA later on. So any other
Yep.
perspectives or thoughts that you guys have on that? Sue Irons.
No, we weren't. I don't think we were in that session. Sounds interesting.
Oh, you weren't at that session? So what did you guys do?
No, in the afternoon we went over to Jefferson Library. We had a demo of the Field Force app that we use to sign folks up, kind of some IT issues, and then we actually did regional breakouts, which for me was great. I sat down, it was mostly with tech, it was me and about 5 Texas people, and just talked about best practices and such. So it was good. I mean, what region were you with, Rich?
I actually was not. I was busy doing planning for some upcoming ADOS with a group of other folks.
But it's good sessions. Like, so we really got to sit down with people in our same shoes. Run. I mean, Texas, you got 4 or 5 state coordinators. We got only need one in Utah. We only have 4 congressional districts. But it was really great talking to those folks, getting their ideas and perspectives.
So Jamie, I can lean in on that a little bit. I do think there's a lot of shame on that whole issue. I remember when I got out, I'm like, I'm fine. Pride and shame are 2 things to look out for in terms of injuries that you sustained when you were active duty. And what I can tell you, having gone through the process, is that it's rigorous. You can't bullshit your way through it. It's a physical, the evaluations are incredibly thorough and they flush out any BS. So for those that are on the fence, I would just encourage us to lean forward, get evaluated, and make sure you're not a burden to your family for some of the stuff that you went through while you're on active duty.
So we have a newly to be trained volunteer veteran service liaison, which is Chris Willis, company E1. He stepped up. He's going through the training with AOG, working with Sue Irons. Sue Irons, one of the best practices is that you can then have a class only like Zoom call with her to talk about the ins and outs of how to, you know, how to consider applying and what to apply for. And so that's one of the focal points for our class going forward. It was a good action item for us. So then we just concluded with a big tailgate at the end, right? So we had this, and we met the new soup and our kind of things with an Ross Beach, which was great. And I just want to say too, like this to me, it's an inspiring week, getting back there, talking to other grads, seeing what the academy's, focused. Oh, we didn't even talk. We do have to talk about the investment in some of the infrastructure, right? We didn't talk about the SEAC and we didn't talk about they're going to knock down Thayer Hall down to the foundation this year coming
Yep.
up. It's a 10-year construction project. It's going
If you
down.
want some granite, if you need granite in your backyard,
Yeah. That was a discussion point. Have AOG turn into a fundraiser. There's going to be an infinite amount of granite available to any graduate. So yeah, they're going
not shipping it 2,000 miles, so you can
no.
enjoy their Jersey.
You get
John, we'll drive it out there. We'll drive it to the
there you go.
You could drive it with your own howitzer.
Actually, no. What was it? We need to get what's his name? I'm blanking. G2 and Timmerman, and they started with Steel Lions.
Right. Yeah.
And Kenny Mintz.
Yeah.
There you go. They maybe we can get a deal from them or something.
They could bring the howitzers too. How do we have 500 extra howitzers as a class? There's 500 that were in the basement of AOG, 500 extra howitzers, and that.
Damn.
Yeah, Craig Morrow went there.
I mean, we didn't lose that many to Cow English.
Yeah, I know. Like somebody screwed up. I wonder who paid for that, what happened, but. And so Craig Morrow's bringing them to our reunion. So
because his wife's going to kill him if he doesn't get him out of the house.
And the thing is, we just digitized. I sent out the link to the digitized howitzer, and so Craig's like, now I'll never get rid of these things. But if you need something, a good paperweight, something to hold the door open or whatever, we could try to get rid of it. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of infrastructure investment at West Point. And that kind of brings us to the end. We had a great tailgate at the end, good times. And I'm sure that AOG staff, they're just so swamped after this big heavy lift of the conference. This is their rest period between now and the first game where they get to just completely like go on block leave or whatever they need to do,
Yeah.
I think about okay.
Something quick on where I had a chance to park for the last meeting. Look what space I found.
Oh, nice. Where's that at? Where's this parking spot? Craig Morrow's.
This is just 10 spaces away from Herbert Hall.
Okay, nice.
Thank you, Craig.
Nice. I think about the rhythm of activity for AOG. And it's just like when they have super busy time periods, like the football season, it's game on, right? Every home game, they're hosting somebody, they're doing something, they got a reunion, they've got, all these, like all 6 of those big weekends are huge. And then you've got the big fundraising end of year stuff that happens. That's also huge. And then the beginning of the year, you come in, you're in the Founders Day timeframe. They got people going out to Founders Day from all the way from like late January to April. And then there's a little slice of break I think that they get in April. And then they roll right into graduation, grad week, all that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah. And then they have another little break before the leader conference. But it's kind of a busy time. You can't move away from that cycle. But I think about them. They did a great job. And to anybody from AOG that happens to listen to this podcast or read the AI summary, as a graduate. I am so grateful for what you all have done. That Margin of Excellence program for these cadets is unbelievable. Yeah, the way that it supports and extends the experience, it has second and third order, complementary effects to the quality of our officer corps. It's incredible. So well done, AOG.
Cool.
Any other thoughts from anybody else here?
No, it was a great
No,
meeting.
thanks.
I
Jamie,
just encourage our classmates to show up. It's a real meeting. You see what's going on, right? Go to AOD Leaders Conference, right? You can be an assistant to a society or a parents club or a field force or a class. Like there's plenty of room.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we look forward to seeing everybody in a couple weeks at our 35th reunion. The registration link will be live this week, one way or the other. I'm sure of that.
Cool.
We're going to see that go, and it's going to be great to connect with everybody.
Cool. We'll beat Tulane.
Beat Tulane, but beat Bryant first. Bryant, hopefully we beat Bryant. I think a high school team could beat Bryant. If we don't beat Bryant, we're in big trouble.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Take it easy. We're going to beat them all.
You're gonna beat them all.
There you go.
Jamie, thanks for putting this on, buddy.
Hey,
yeah, for sure. Thank you.
On such short notice, thanks, guys.
See you guys.
It was great while it was all top of mind. So thank you so much. Talk to y'all later.
See ya.
All right, take care.
Take care.
See you guys.
Bye.